wasn't he? The big name.
All I want, all I need, all I crave is a big multi. All I want, all I need, all I crave is a big multi. Money multi.
Well, g'day and welcome to the Mad Dragons vodcast, Muzzah's Multi episode. We'll get to Muzzah's Multi, but before we do, Muzzah, you did something amazing last week in the Walk for Wanda. Tell us all about it, what Walk for Wanda is and what you achieved.
Yeah, mate. Well, obviously we tried to do the Muzzah's Multi while I was out on the road, but I think we cut out there. I'm not sure how far into it we got. But, I was sort of walking into a bit of bad service, unfortunately. It was just bad timing. But, I did a walk, like I said before, a little town called Wandowan in Chinchilla. It's about 120 Ks. Did it over 5 days. I didn't do it all at once. It would have killed me. But, it's just it's all about mental health awareness and just getting the word out there. Just, to make sure, we're just checking in on everyone and making sure that we're in a good headspace, and it's a bit hard to sort of know who and when it's happening to. So we lost a good friend a couple of months ago who took her own life. That's sort of what prompted me to do it. And obviously in the end it was, for everybody that, has been in that situation. So I set out on the walk to raise some money for the Smitter Foundation, which it's tied up with one of the guys on one of the Knights podcasts, actually, Dino Smith over there, Smitter. It's a Smitter Foundation, so raise some money for that foundation, plus a little trust fund for Wanda's two little kids that were left after her illness and are taking her life. So, it was tough. It was pretty treacherous out there. Luckily, it wasn't summer. It's probably the only thing that kept me alive, I think, not being summer. But the last day was pretty tough, but painkillers and anti-inflammatories and all that sort of stuff kept me going. And obviously my family, they kept me going. They were a big strength behind me, supporting me the whole way. And when I finished the walk, I was greeted by about 20 people about a kilometre out that sort of did finish the walk with me, and then into the pub where I was greeted by a heap of other people, and celebration started and the beers started flowing.
Oh, fantastic job, mate. It was it's a hell of an emotional journey, and I think you did yourself proud, and hopefully brought a lot of attention to a cause that's close to your heart. And I'm not sure it means much from me, but I'm proud of you and what you've done, mate. So well done.
Absolutely, it means a lot from everybody that said it. I think I'll just touch quickly, and I've said on my podcast and stuff that I've done that I was, I think, third day in, and I was really, really struggling. The pain in my feet, I don't know what I've done to my feet, but something's happened about halfway through, and I could barely go on. I had a lady stop in the car, got out of the car. I was in the middle of the highway, crossed the road with a little boy, and came up and gave me a hug. And she said she saw me walking the previous day, and made a point of stopping today. Gave me a little note just to sort of say what she'd been through. She was a mental health battler, survivor, and people that do these type of things that she's just really a lot of respect for. Gave a little donation, and just those little things that sort of kept me going. It sort of perked me up, and I grew another leg, and I soldiered on. And like I said, if I didn't raise 1 cent for the whole thing, those little things there make it worthwhile.
Yeah. How much did you end up raising?
So it's still going. I've got a couple of things still coming through, but at the moment we're a little bit over $7,000. So I was sort of my goal was 10 grand. I'm hoping by the time these things come through, if they do, I'm going to hit 8 grand. So and I'm stoked with that. So.
Well, fantastic job, mate. Hopefully there's a few people that maybe see this and can chuck a little bit more and get you close to that sort of 10 grand mark. That'd be a nice little milestone, mate.
The donations will never stop, but the disease won't ever stop. So we go on. But it's all over now. Recouping and back to work the very next day. My wife's a really, really hard boss, so she didn't give me any time off.
Oh well, mate, you've got to get back into it, I guess. But
Yep.
make sure you look after your feet, because I know doing some of those long walks myself in the past, it can really tear them apart.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, last week, Muzzah's multi. Well, in terms of my tips, I went okay, but I'm going to say state of origin stuffed me. I had Hudson Young as an anytime try scorer, tick. Alex Johnston anytime try scorer, tick. Storm v Roosters under 47.5 points, tick. Tommy Turbo anytime try scorer was a tick as well, but I maybe had a bit too many legs. I had the Melbourne Storm to beat the Roosters 1-12 and a try in the last second. Knocked that one out for me. Plus, I also had the Panthers 13 plus, which was never happening once they rested all their Origin players, and then the Dogs 13 plus in the hope that a few of the Cowboys players wouldn't be able to back up after Origin. But so I ended up with, was that 4 from 7? So or 5 from 7, not too bad. Muzzah, on the other hand, you had Stephen Crichton to score, Chanel Harris Tavita to score. Bloke couldn't even kick a goal. Whiten to score, and Isaac Targo to score for a remarkable 0 from 4. So Muzz, the only way is up.
True to form.
I've had a look at your multi this week. You've had a big throw at the stumps with this one, so I hope it does come in. But I think it's one of the longest ones that you've had a crack at. But let's see where we end up. We'll have a look through each game first before we get into Muzzah's multi. Origin done and dusted, and the teams that can will be starting to really gear up towards a finals campaign. So I expect the level of skill and the quality of the NRL to really ramp up in the coming weeks. We've got NRLW kicking off on Thursday, so no Thursday night game, but 2 Friday games, and the pub slot belongs to the Warriors up against the Tigers in Auckland. RTS moves back to fullback with no Tuapiki, while Moala Graham Talfa gets a chance in the centre. Tigers basically a completely different team to last week. I'm not sure that's a good thing, but Dwayhe, Caesar, Clemmer, Bateman, Miller, all out for various reasons, and some of those reasons are completely bonkers. But what it gives us is what has to be one of the youngest halves combinations in NRL history. Let us know in the comments if you know of another halves combination that's younger than the two 19-year-olds in Galvin and Fainu. How does this one play out, Muzz?
Well, obviously everything points towards a Warriors victory. Obviously being at home, Tigers are in a bit of a mess at the moment. I don't see a way out for the Tigers at the moment. They've got a young coach. They just pretty much threw him to the Wolves. Benji's doing all he can with what he's got. Obviously, there's a little bit of noise in the background there at the Tigers with the Bateman saga that's going on. There's stories that he won't even come back. I can't see the Tigers getting out of this one. The Warriors at home, 13 plus. They'd have to go 13 plus. I don't think that the Tigers will. They'll be lucky to win another game this year, I think.
Yeah. The Wars have won the last 6, so I'll be tipping that to continue. Hard to find a try scorer for me in this game, so I'll be taking the Warriors at the line. And here's a little anomaly I found with Sportsbet, Muzz. For the Warriors to cover the 12.5 line, they're $1.92, but to win 13 plus, they're $1.88. So they're the same thing. So I'll take the extra 4 cents. Thanks, Sportsbet.
Smart man, Donny. Bucks, mate.
How's this one for a free-to-air classic? The 16th placed Eels at $6.05 up against the top-of-the-table Storm. Big Nass is back on the Storm bench and Cameron Munster on the extended bench. But personally, I wouldn't be rushing him back for this one. The Eels, though, they have won 3 from 4 at Bankwest against the Storm. Is that enough to think that they have a hope?
No. Simply no. I look the way the Eels are going. This could be anything, and you'll see in the multi, the try scorer that I picked there, only because I think that the Eels do fade like they have. They could be lining up to score tries. So obviously Mitchell Moses is out now, so that's going to really derail them a lot. He was at Origin last week, obviously, but without his direction, his kicking game, they're really going to suffer without Moses' boot. So, yeah, Storm again, 13 plus. I don't even get 21 plus, get on it.
Yeah, well, choose your own margin, pretty much with that one, you reckon?
I think so.
I agree. I think the Storm will have too much for the Eels, even at Bankwest, but they haven't had a great deal of success. Yeah, I think they'll be my tip. Harry Grant has doubles the last 2 times he's played Para, and 6 tries in the last 4 games against him. So I'm going to go with him as my anytime try scorer for that one.
Oh, might
get 4. Yeah, Saturday kicks off with a very important game for both of these teams. The Broncos, still fighting for their season, will host the Bulldogs. Cobbo returns for Brisbane. Dogs haven't beaten Brisbane at Lang Park since 2015. Can they buck that trend, or will the Broncos continue to keep their season alive and kicking?
Yeah, well, that's going to be the Broncos, they're really in a spot now where they're pretty much playing for their season. So, the Bulldogs, I think you would think they've got a top 8 spot wrapped up, but they're obviously fighting for a top 4 spot. So it's going to be interesting. The Broncos, if they can, get back their early form, obviously from last year, they could do anything. But I don't let that win last week, I think, disguise the fact that they are struggling. So I think the Bulldogs might even get up this one in a close one.
I'm gonna go a different route. Like Brisbane, they've won 5 in a row against the Dogs. Dogs can't seem to beat them in Brisbane. Adam Reynolds just make Brisbane a different team, a better team. For me, it's Brisbane to win and win well. Couple of ways you can play this in terms of try scorers for me. Reynolds has scored tries in the last 2 games against the Dogs, but it's just not a strong vibe for me. Mariner, he looks another potential try scorer. He's going really well in his transition to become a centre, moving one in off the wing into the centres and going well. He scored the only time he played against the Dogs, come off the bench and only needed a couple of minutes to get a try. But I'm going to be a bit of a pussy and go Broncos 13 plus at 220 is more likely than Mariner any time at $1.96. So. That's the way I'm going to go. I think the Broncos will win this one pretty easy. Cowboys v Sharks is a bit of a separate the men from the boys type clash. Cowboys hard to place, but they played, and that might be because they've played just 3 games in the last 5 weeks. They've had 2 byes pretty close together, so that might be why it's hard to work out where they're at. But you've only got to look at the number of Origin players they have to know they are quality, but they've been unconvincing. Meanwhile, the Sharks, to me, they look like an elephant up a tree. They're right up the pointy end of the ladder, but on recent form, they really don't look like they belong there. Youngster Liam Ison comes in for Will Kennedy for the Sharks, with Sifa Talakai returning as well. For the Cows, they're unchanged at home again. How do you see this playing out, Muzz?
Yeah, I think, like you said, that the Sharks, they struggled a little. It looks like they're struggling, even though they are up the top. And they've been like that the last couple of years. They get up there and you sort of get 3/4 away through the season. You go, shit, how'd they get up there? The way they've been playing. So, Cowboys, I think, with those Origin players back and the class that they do have, like you mentioned, the high. Yeah, I think again because they're at home. To Townsville, they sort of really need to kick on. Obviously, the Sharks think they're a shoe-in for the top 8. Again, struggling for a top 4 spot. But I think the Cowboys probably a little bit more to play for. They're at home, and I think they'll do it 1-12.
Yeah, I could toss a coin in this game, to be honest. But Sharks have won 11 of the last 12 over the Cowboys, which is pretty imposing. And the Sharks have won all 4 games at the new Townsville Stadium and haven't lost up there since 2018. I wouldn't normally read too much into these sorts of things, but I don't trust either of these teams. It's enough to swing me to the Sharks for this game. I'm going to go with Ronaldo to score any time. But for the value hunters, Tommy Hazelton has scored the last 2 games he's played against the Cowboys, if that's the way you want to play it. So another one worth looking at. 4th v 5th, and how good is Saturday Rugby League looking? Can't wait for this game either, with the Roosters looking to respond after getting outplayed by Melbourne. The only change for either team is Lehigh Hopewate is out with Corey Waddell into the back row for Manly. How are you leaning, Muzz?
Yeah, young Hopewate, been playing some good footy, so he's only young and only new, but we'll miss him a little bit. But the Roosters really, I can't see them not bouncing back after last week. Whether they win or not's another thing, but I think they're going to play 100% better than what they did last week, and that forward pack needs to get a bit more of a move on for the back line. But I think the Roosters do seem to thrive under this sort of thing when they get beaten, especially like that to Melbourne. Obviously, the statistics have been out last couple of days, how many games they've won against the Penrith and Storm since the line into 2020 or something, 1 in 20 or something like that. But Manly aren't the Storm or Penrith, so I'm going to tip the Roosters to come back. It could go anyway as well. So Tommy's just getting back into form. Obviously, if we get Tommy in top form, he's worth 6 or 8 points at least. So I'm tipping the Roosters to come back again, 1-12, and Suoli'i for any time try scorer.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think these are Manly and the Roosters. To me, they're the two best momentum teams in the competition. If the game starts to go their way and they run downhill for a little while, they can blow a game apart, and that goes for either Manly or the Roosters. It depends. I think you'll know about 10 minutes in who's on and who's not, and you'd love to be able to get on live at that point. But I expect the Roosters to respond after a pretty lethargic showing last week, and that's why I'm going to tip them. But I do expect it to be a good game. Daniel Tupou, he scored in 4 of the last 5 games against Manly, so I'm going to go him anytime. And I also like the unders, under 50.5 total match points in this game. Sunday is a big Queensland derby as the Dolphins on the slide, enough to lose to the Titans. They've lost 6 of their last 7. Hell, they even lost to us. No changes really to either team. So what's your tip, Muzz?
Obviously they're up against Penrith last week, minus their state of origin players. Obviously Cleary was back, made a big difference for them in the end. But look, both these sides have been playing decent footy. And I think I mentioned last week the Titans, even when they were losing, going 6 to 8 weeks back, they weren't losing by a lot. And then they were coming out and putting some good scores on. So the Dolphins, I think, just got a little bit more class in that back line. The halves probably give that to the Titans, but I think the Dolphins will take this one. They'll bounce back after last week, and they'll win again by 1-12. I think it'll be a lot of close games this week, except the first couple that we mentioned. But we'll go Jermaine Osako, first try scorer.
Ooh. A good one if you can get at those first try scorer bets. But I'm going to go the Dolphins as well. 3 from 3 against the Titans. I think they get back to their winning ways. I don't think they've been that bad for the most part, despite the fact they have lost 6 of their last 7. I expect them to have just a little bit too much for the Titans. But I will go a Titans player, Philip Sammy, as the anytime try scorer in this game. All right, down now to the Mathematical Chance Cup. That's the last game of the round as the Raiders take on the Bunnies. Richie Kenner out for the Souths, and they've chucked back rower Michael Cheekham into the centres. Do the Raiders keep their genuine chances alive, or do Souths keep their sort of borderline hopes alive?
Who knows with either of these teams? I think I mentioned last week the Warriors and whoever they were playing and Raiders. I think they're just those teams. When I tip them, they seem to lose, and when I don't tip them, they seem to win. There's a few teams that you get like that every year, and you just can't work them out. So then you just sort of have to go to the bookies, I suppose, when you can't work those out. If they're not doing it for us, so we got to go and trust the bookies. So Raiders, I think at home again. Rabbitohs, they're on that run now where if they keep winning, I think they've got to win every game as well. So I just don't think they've got it in them to show up again. The dogs are going off now. So, Raiders in extra time.
Yeah. Well, going to finish the week in extra time. Let's hope so for the neutral fans. Bit of fun. But yeah, for me, Raiders at home, plus they've won 4 of the last 5 against South, and they look a better team with Fogarty back in the halves. So I'll go with Canberra for the win. Can't find an anytime try scorer that fits for Canberra for me. I don't mind Damien Cook for value, but I'll go the safe option of Alex Johnson once again, who's scored 5 tries in the last 3 games against Canberra. Get a little bit closer to Kenny's record. 2 of those 3 games were losses for South as well, and he still got across the line. Also consider the overs, last 3 games between these 2 teams, 59 points, 44 points, and 54 points, but it doesn't quite sneak into my multi. But that's enough about my multi, Muzzah. This is all about you. Muzzah's multi, what have you got for us?
Okay, now this one, I didn't put a lot of thought into it. This one's just come together because everything else I've tried, we can't get over the line. So this one's just done purely on names. I love these names. So it's when you're betting with somebody else's money, do it this way. If you're betting with your own money, maybe be a little bit more smarter. But Warriors versus Tigers. Again, if the Tigers open up, they could be lining up to score. So Mawala Graham Tufa, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'll probably get all these wrong. It sort of rolled off the tongue knot. So 295 into Jackson Purdue for the Cowboys at 265, and then down to the Eagles and Roosters game, I've gone Gordon Chan Kum Tong at $9, so he's really going to boost that multi up. And into the Storm game again, if they open up the Eels, they could be lining up to score tries. And I love Tui Kamakamika as an anytime try scorer too. So if this time does get up, it'll be a Mozza. So put a couple of bucks on it, and just don't forget, if you are betting, bet with your head, not over it.
Absolutely, mate. Well, that's I think that's the biggest one that we've had. Also, a bit of a rookie feel to it. I mean, apart from Tui Kamakamika, there's a few blokes that haven't got a lot of games under their belt. And Graham Talfa, I'm not sure if he's played before. He might have a couple of NRL games under his belt. Young Purdue looks. Sorry,
I think he may have had 2. I did have a bit of a look through when I was doing it. Might have been Purdue, but there was a couple of them that had played 2 or 3 games but hadn't got over the line yet. And I'm thinking this might be the round where we get a lot of debut try scorers.
Well, let's hope it comes off. $590.45 for every dollar we got on it. I don't know whether it was different when you put it together, but that's the odds that we've officially got.
Yep. If
we get that one, mate, it'll definitely be a nice little windfall. That might get you a little bit closer to that $10,000 mark, mate.
I might even put some of my own money on it.
Well, as you said, all a bit of fun here on the Mad Dragons podcast. Thanks very much for joining us. Obviously, in the Muzzah's multi, we don't talk about the Dragons game, but the only game we didn't talk about, go the Dragons. Come on, Dragons fans. Fire up.
Fire up.
Coco is at Pell's heart, she wears it on her sleeve. As Muzzah tells tales of dragons, wins and tuna victory. Donny and the MB crew will do their very best. Getting off topic and I digress with a red bee on our chest. The Mad Dragon podcast is a sheep of camaraderie. Navigating rants down rabbit holes in the land of big wet bees. And so our peddlers weave the tales and our pursuit is our dream. The Mad Dragon podcast.